I'm David Miller, Head of Communications at Citadel Securities, and I'm joined today by Joe Mecane, our Head of Execution Services, and Stephen Berger, our Global Head of Government and Regulatory Policy. And we're here today to talk about the SEC's equity market structure proposals. Joe, do you want to kick it off and run us through what they are and why they're so important?
Sure. Just to put it in context for those that aren't familiar, back in December, the SEC put out 4 market structure proposals. The 4 areas broadly cover topics like the increment stocks are quoted and traded in, some disclosure requirements, some best execution enhancements, and a new auction mechanism. And while there's elements inside the proposals that are positive and things that we've advocated for, there's a lot of concern across the proposals from us and others in the industry that the proposals are trying to do too much at once. They're somewhat unpredictable in what direction they will take markets, and we run the risk of significant unintended consequences that could actually bring the markets backwards and not forwards.
Stephen, what do you think?
We've been a long-standing advocate of measures to further enhance the efficiency and competitiveness of U.S. equity markets, but I think it's important to start by recognizing that our markets are the most deep, liquid, resilient, and efficient markets in the world. So I think we need to be very thoughtful and deliberate in how we seek to further improve them and not engage in experiments that risk sacrificing the gains that we've witnessed over the past 2 decades. So I do think, as Joe alluded to, we've seen a lot of concern expressed from all corners of the market, from retail broker-dealers, wholesale broker-dealers, exchanges, asset managers, from academics who study the market closely. And I think they've all concluded that at a minimum, we need to take a much more data-driven, deliberate approach to making any reforms, and that a large number of the proposals that we've seen would risk doing far more harm than good.
What's interesting is you look across different constituents, and where folks would normally not be in full agreement, there's much more consensus building than typically would be the case on market structure proposals. In our case, we signed a joint letter with Charles Schwab, a retail firm, and the New York Stock Exchange around a path forward that we think is actually constructive and the right way to try to put these rules into place without unintended consequences. And the fact that 3 firms with different client bases have a similar view is somewhat remarkable.
And I think it's quite notable that the alleged or intended beneficiaries of these reforms have said thanks but no thanks. So I think there's a lot of evidence to show that retail investors would not necessarily get better execution quality, and forcing their orders into these auction mechanisms would actually entail systematic information leakage that would allow their orders to be, front-run by other participants in the marketplace. The exchanges have also said that they're not in favor of these auction mechanisms that were designed to bring more trading onto the exchange. And it was also advertised that institutional investors would somehow benefit from being able to have greater interaction with retail flow through some of these proposals. And in fact, institutional investors have come back and said, that's not what's going to happen, and these new mechanisms don't actually work for us.
But we're pretty successful in the markets as they're currently structured. So how much of this is big industry players kind of digging in on something that works for them versus calling for more moderate improvements over time?
Yeah, this is not about us, and we've, as Stephen said earlier, we've advocated for market reform for years in a lot of different ways. We have, in our case, very diverse businesses. We're very good at navigating different market structures. What's important to us, and we think is fundamentally the most important principle for healthy markets, is ensuring that the experience for end investors is positive. And we're evaluating all of these proposals with that lens and making sure that whatever we do does make the market better for investors and not worse.
And look, we look forward to having a continued constructive dialogue with the SEC, with the rest of the industry. The public comment process is obviously very important. We took the time to write 5 detailed comment letters with our analysis and recommendations that totaled, I think, nearly 150 pages. And so, we look forward to engaging and discussing those thoughts and hopefully landing in a more constructive place for the market as a whole.